WFMU's 2010 Record Fair.
We get together over 200 record dealers from all over the country, all over the world, and we convene here in New York City, Manhattan, at 18th Street.
Well, ever hear of this group Wigwam from Finland? I'm trying to get their record fair report. They're a progressive rock band that featured Pekka Poila on bass. Don't laugh, that's really his name.
Nearest ATM is probably on the corner. Nearest restroom is right up the hallway to my right.
Seeing my friends is great, but this is the high point of my day, I gotta admit.
I know, it's always fun.
Yeah.
That looks like Gene Wilder.
It's kind of overwhelming every time I come here. For the last few years especially, I just feel like I can't focus on anything.
It seems to certainly attract a very intelligent buyer and people who are looking for very specific things because they know they're going to find it here.
10 times bigger, 10 times better. More people, more enthusiasm, like-minded people for the love of vinyl.
People save up for the show all year to come to this one to buy.
It's just incredible. I've heard from many people it's better than Christmas, and I totally agree.
The reason why I love it so much is because of the social scene, I guess. You can always find somebody to talk to about that record that you've been looking for, or about your particular music buying tastes and habits.
Isn't that right? Like that the first step is admitting you have a record problem.
The door, admission, all that money goes to running the station, which is a non-profit station. So that's kind of an important aspect of it.
The people that come to it are really passionate, and it's all built around WFMU's directive of bringing music to the people.
I play my old records once a year on New Year's Eve. My son told me, why don't you put all the records on tape? You can put your butt on the couch and you don't have to turn each record over. And I told him, you see, youngster, you don't know what you're talking about. Because when I grab a record and I hold it in my hand, I remember the era where I was. I look at the label. You can't do that when you're listening to a tape recording. So he says, Dad, you taught me something.
Hey VC, hey. What's up? Vinyl community, seeking a thread. 2 weeks out from the WFMU Record Fair. Been many years since I've attended one. And this is looking like it's going to be maybe the best yet, just to meet all of my fellow VC buddies. I got an apartment rented, staying with a bunch of you, and then be good to meet a whole bunch more of you. You all know who you are. It's going to be cool. It's going to be I can't even really fathom how much. I don't know that I've ever done such a, well, not yet anyway, such a deep and intense sort of 3 days worth of digging like this. So this will be a first for me. Usually it's been like 1 day at the most, but it's just going to be cool to hang with everybody. So this video is sort of dedicated to that. I thought it'd be cool to show, or I'm not going to show a ton. These are records I mainly don't have here. A bunch of New York-centric records, since it is a New York record fair, even though WFMU is based in Jersey City. It's very much a Jersey station. This is a New York record fair. So I thought it'd be cool to show or put out there a bunch of New York records I will be looking for. Now, this is, of course, not the only things I'm looking for. A lot of that I'll sort of keep to myself, but of course, I have the 23 wants that I have from 2023, which I'll link to below. I have almost half of those now. A bunch I may never get, but I'll be looking for some of those. Hopefully I can knock a few of those off. Plus there's things on my regular want list that I'll be thinking about, and of course there's things that I'm not even thinking about that I'll be intrigued to get. I'm ready to sort of throw down a bit. But these ones I'm going to show are all bands, artists out of New York, labels out of New York, that I thought would be cool to sort of show. So here are my WFMU wants for the WFMU Record Fair, October 14th and 15th at the Knockdown Center in Queens, Brooklyn, Queens border. First off, I should say and hope that everyone in New York is good after all the flooding. I still have a lot of family there. Everybody's good in my book, and it sounds like there wasn't any serious injuries, although it's pretty scary to see some of that footage. All places I've lived, a few of the videos I saw were right near where I did live, in South Park Slope, Brooklyn, and the Gowanus area, all places I hung out a lot at. So hopefully everybody's good and you know, everyone's getting back to normal. But all right, let's get into it. So some of these are records I have reissues of. I will be looking for original pressings of. Others I don't have. I'll tell you what we're playing when we get to it. All New York artists. Of course, we can't. And I'll talk about this one first because my son and I are about to embark on the entire catalog, listening to the entire catalog of their music and doing videos on it. Sonic Youth. This is the Original Recordings Group, ORG, reissue of Confusion is Sex, the first record. Certainly an audiophile label, but this is not an audiophile record by any stretch. But I don't have the original on Neutral Records, Glenn Branca's label. This is the first album, very much a noise, no wave record. This is from 2010. You can see the original hype sticker here. It shows like a master tape, which is like, you know, no sparse code or anything, but even in 2009 they were trying to sort of play up the master tape. It's definitely a digital transfer, as if that mattered for this. So I will be looking for the neutral pressing of this, as well as the neutral pressing of the first EP. This is an early reissue on SST from the 80s, so this is, you know, it's close to the original, but I do want that neutral pressing, which I've had chances to buy both of these records in the past, and I just didn't do it because I'm like, I have them, and now, you know, now I'd like to have them. But this first EP, mini album EP, is incredible. Huge fan of this. I'm also looking for, and don't have it, I'll insert images of everything I don't have, the actual first EP, German only, of Kill Your Idols on the Zensor label. So yeah, Sonic Youth. I have most of the original pressings, a fair amount of 7 inches, a bunch of the 12 inches. There's a bunch of 12 inches I'd like to get. We'll see. We'll see what I see. Next up, and there's no real number, amount, or border in these. These are just things I'm going to be looking for. Dinosaur L, 2424 music. Featuring Arthur Russell. Arthur Russell's sort of abstract left field disco project on the Sleeping Bag label. Very much a New York sort of avant disco recording, avant disco label. Lots of cool stuff on Sleeping Bag. It's from 1981. I don't own the reissue, don't own the original. Dinosaur L. We'll be looking for that. I have a good feeling we'll see a lot of these. I mean, these are going to be a lot of New York dealers, which hopefully they actually show the list of who the dealers are so we can kind of prepare a little bit. Next up on my list is Marsette Watts. Marsette and Company on the ESP Disc label. Of course, ESP Disc, a renowned record label out of New York. And Marsette Watts, very limited recording career. I think Dave has this one. This is from 71. I'm looking at the entry as we talk about, but it features Henry Grimes, Bayard Lancaster, Sonny Chirac. That's why I'm interested. Clifford Thornton as well, and even Carl Berger. What a lineup. Would like to find that. Very limited recording history. Marsette Watts, 71 on ESP Disc. Next up, a bunch that are related to this label artist. David Wertman. 2 different titles. I don't have any David Wertman except for a few appearances, but Earthly Delights, private pressing. and the Earthly Delights with the Sun Ensemble, 1978 free jazz record with, okay, he's not on this one, but this is a cool one. The cover is really cool, as you can see. I've been looking for this one for a good bit of time here. Also looking for Cara Suite, which, unbelievably, it's on the Mestevic label, which is a New York label, Steve Reed's label. Unbelievably, a friend of mine here found 2 David Wertman records at the local thrift store right here in Ithaca. So he kind of threw it out there. He's like, "You ever heard of David Wertman?" I was like, "Yeah," and then went from there. So he's got them. I think he knows I want them. Maybe, maybe an offer can be made. But we'll see what I see in New York. I'm a little concerned about prices on these, but the Cara Suite from 1976. Also on the same Mestevic label, we are listening to Nova. This is the reissue from Steve Reed, great drummer. This record's fantastic, with the legendary Master Brotherhood featuring Ahmad Abdullah on trumpet, Luis Angel Falcon acoustic bass, Joe Rigby, Les Walker, Richard Williams, Steve Reed on drums from 1976. I have the reissue, and I like it. Want to find that Mestevic Sounds label pressing, as well as this. I'd like to find the original of Rhythmatism. This one is from whatever, don't have it here in front of me, mid-70s. The only Mestevic Sound one I have, and I've shown it I think one time before, the Steve Reed, was the original pressing of Odyssey of the Oblong Square, which is wonderful. There's some rare ones on this one, including the New Life Trio. But it's from 1977, so I'd love to keep collecting this Mestevic Sound label. Looking for all those. All New York centric. What else? Let's see. William S. Fisher Circles, a really interesting artist, sort of a left field jazz. Let's see, what is this from? 1970. Yeah, it's the Embryo label. It's sort of Atlantic subsidiary. You see the Embryo label, a bunch of different things on that label. But this one you don't see that often. I've been tracking on Discogs for quite a long time. eBay too. There is a reissue, I think, on Real Gone. It does feature Ron Carter on this one. It's a bunch of different cello, different artists doing artists and musicians doing cello. You have Cobham on drums. Eric Weisberg, Hugh McCracken on guitar. William S. Fisher is doing all the synthesizers. This is a weird one, very cool. Looking for that from 1970 on Embryo. Next, Vito Richie, Music from Memory. I talked about this recently. I have this compilation of his music. New York-based composer. Would love to find Music from Memory, the inspiration for the label. Private pressing. From 1985, sort of that abstract, ambient, and experimental sound with a little bit of synth pop. But this is a great compilation. Vito Richie. A few more. Again, there's going to be other ones I'm looking for, and I really don't care if I'm maybe people are going to find these, and maybe I'm alerting people to records. I don't really care. It's fine. Lamonte Young, or Lamonte Young, as Stumpy likes to say, with Marian Zazila. The date one. How else can you say it? This is the one that was recently reissued from 1969. Originally a German pressing. Lamont Young, of course, very influential and very important, drone and experimental composer, along with his wife, Marian Zazila. I've seen this one online, but I don't, I just felt like no price that worth I wanted to jump at, so we'll see on that one. Another jazz record, Charles Tyler Ensemble, The Voyage from Jericho on the Akba label from 1975. Another great lineup here. Charles Tyler, I do have one Charles Tyler record, that's it though. Arthur Blythe, Ronnie Boykins, Steve Reed again, Steve Reed theme, and Earl Cross. This one has gotten pricey. There's a bunch of cool stuff on that label too, Akba, so hopefully to find that. A few more here. Michael Snow and the Chatham Square label. Alex did a great feature on this label. I only have a couple. I have one. I have one of the John Gibsons on Chatham Square. This one, Michael Snow, really interesting composer. This is music for piano, whistling, microphone, and tape recorder from 1975 on Philip Glass's Chatham Square label. His first recordings are on that, and founded in 1971. A bunch of cool stuff on the label. Dick Landry, there's some Arthur Russell, the John Gibson, as I mentioned. You know, I'd like to find anything on that label, really, but this Michael Snow one I got my eye on. Another one, this one, Moondog, the story of Moondog with the Warhol cover. There's been copies that have come up, just not in a nice condition for not cheap prices, but I thought about them, and this one is the last of the prestige that I need by the great Moondog. Such an interesting story and composer. You know, this one, if I see it, I'm sure it's going to be way out of my price range, but you know, we'll see. We'll see what we see on the great prestige label. And one more rock record. This one, a band you don't necessarily think of as out of New York, but they were. Talking about slowcore from a month or so ago, a theme that Fred started that I jumped in on. The first Codeine record, Frigid Stars. Don't own it. I own the other Codeines for the most part. Don't own Frigid Stars on Sub Pop. Would like to find it. Either a US or European pressing. Gotten expensive. Let's see what we can do. So those are all New York-based artists for WFMU, October 13th. I'm sorry, it's October 14th and 15th. It's the Saturday and Sunday, but I'll be there Friday along with all the other folks. If you're going, and I don't know that you're going, you should reach out to me on Instagram or my email, which is, I think you can find my email on my channel here. But get in touch. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. You know, lots of people looking for records together and nerding the fuck out. It's going to be super nerdy. Anyway, that's what we got. I'm going to post this ASAP since WFMU is coming up, and look for a bunch more things from me real soon here, because I'm going to front load a bunch of things. So hope everyone's doing well in the VC. Sorry I haven't commented on many things lately, but I've been watching and keeping up. So that's about it. Talk to you very soon, and for everyone else in New York, looking forward to meeting you.